go real quickly through some stuff. I just think it's foundational stuff that I think everybody should understand when building a business. How many of you agree 5 years is coming anyway? Right? So if you could do something to drastically change what your future looked like, and you could get it done in 5 years, would you be willing to do it? I don't want you to just say yes. I need you to really think about what I'm saying. So some people work 40 years to retire to hopefully get a small pension, right? So I'll tell you my story. A grocery background. I was a store manager at public supermarkets when I was into this business in 2003. A gentleman by the name of Ron Green walked into my store, asked me to come to an event. I said, what is it? He says, it's a great event, man. You know, it's a good business. I really think you'd be great at it. I said, it's one of those pyramid things, right? I said, I'm not interested. And he would come to my store every single week. This went on for about 6 months. And one Friday, I'm sitting in my office, I'm packing my stuff up, ready to go home, and I look at my camera and I see this guy walk in. I call my front office cashier. I said, look, whatever you do, you tell that man I'm not here. But he saw my car up front and wouldn't leave. So I had to come out, and I was like, Ron, what part of no don't you understand? Here's the first nugget I want you to write down. He said to me, is it fair to say that the best decisions in your life were usually made when you had 100% of the facts? I said, fair enough. He says, all I'm asking you to do is come and get 100% of the facts. And he says, after that, no matter what you decide, I'll never bother you again. But he said, if you don't come, I'll be here again next week. So the only reason I went to a briefing was to get this guy to stop bugging me. But when I got there, guess what I got? 100% of the facts. And guess what it made? It made sense. So I decided to do the business. Decided to do business. My first full year in the business, part-time, I was able to generate an extra $30,000. By my fourth year in the business, I was able to exceed what I was making as a store manager after 20 plus years. And by my sixth year in the business, I was exceeding that in residual income, right? So here it is, I was with a company 27 years to a point where they were paying me about $104,000, $105,000 a year. And then 6 years in with LegalShield on a part-time basis, they were paying me about $114,000 a year. And my residual income at that time had been about, I would say at that point, it had gotten to about $7,000 or $8,000 a month. So in 2009, I made a decision to retire. July 4th, 2009 was my, what I call my personal Independence Day, right? But here's this funny thing. I get this letter saying, hey, Mr. Edwards, your company's informed us that you've retired. We see you've served with them for 27 years. We just want you to know you've been paying into the Social Security system. You should be eligible at the age of 65 for about $1,500 a month. So I want you to understand that. Worked 27 years. I was only 40 at the time, so now I have to wait 25 years to hopefully, should be eligible for $1,500 a month. And here it is, this thing I did for 5 years. The first 5 years foundationally set me up to where my residual income was way exceeding what I was potentially to make at the age of 65. So I say that to let you all understand the value of what you have in front of you. See, most people don't think past the future. They don't think past the day. They don't think about the future. But I just want you all to know you are going to get older. Right? And to the millennials who think that everything works fine now, when you get to 50 and over, it might not quite all work the same. Right? You're going to want some residual income. All right, so I'm just going to go through this training real quickly. I call this a simple 5-year plan. Here's what I realized. The goal without a plan is just a what? People don't plan to fail. They just fail to what? Fail to plan. No one has a plan in front of them to say, hey, this is what I need to do. Here's a question I need you to ask yourself. Here's some questions. Real quickly, let's go through these questions. What is it that you want in the next 5 years? Have any of you really sat down and said, look, what is my life going to look like 5 years from now? Once you figure out, you need to write down the goal so that you see it. Visualization is one of the most powerful things I could ever think of. If you don't have a dream board in your house right now, I strongly recommend that you do. So if you start going through magazines and seeing things you like, I want you to cut them out. You start seeing places you want to go, I want you to cut them out. And put them on this thing called a dream board. It's the craziest, weirdest thing. First time I experienced it, they told me to do a dream board. I put a little basement theater, a picture of a red basement theater on this little dream board. Funny part about it is I never even looked at the dream board. I hadn't even seen it for a couple years. Buy my first house, design this basement, packing to move into this new house. I pull out this dream board and it looks just like my theater in my new house. It's amazing how the mind and the universe aligns things for you once you put it into motion. The problem is most of you are saying, I want, but you're not concentrating or focused on what it is that you really want. So I need you to do that, right? And then you're going to have to commit to the activity. So everyone knows my team. My team is known as the A team, and people always say, oh, that's Alistair's team. No, we're the activity team. Nothing happens without activity. You can want to recruit someone, but if you don't do the activity of putting them, of prospecting, and you don't do the activity of putting them in the app, and you don't do the activity of inviting them to the briefing, and you don't do the activity of following up, nothing happens. It's the same thing with selling a membership. If you don't actually present the service, if you don't share the video with somebody, no one knows about it, right? So let's talk a little bit. First of all, know your schedule. How many of you here are part-time in the business? Figured as much, 90% of the room. And you're trying to figure out, how am I going to get a full-time income on a part-time schedule? Everyone has the same amount of hours in the day. You just need to figure out what your hours are. So first of all, yesterday they brought all the regional managers up and all the meeting holders. You guys have a lot of meetings going on in Florida. And to the brand new person, you're thinking, oh man, I got to go to all these meetings. No one said you had to go to all the meetings. You just have to figure out which one is yours. So when I saw the business in Atlanta, we had a Monday night meeting at 7:30, we had a Tuesday night meeting at 7:30, and we had a Wednesday night meeting at 7:30. I had no intentions of going to all three. I was working 50, 60 hours a week. But I knew Mondays I worked from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m., so that means I could make the 7:30 meeting. So Monday was my financial freedom night. It amazes me how many people will tell me, don't call me on Sunday, I'm watching Housewives of Atlanta. Don't call me on Wednesday, I'm bowling. Don't call me on Monday, it's Monday Night Football. You'll dedicate all your time to everybody else's dream, but you don't have an hour put aside for your dream. See, your Monday night meeting, or whenever your briefing is your financial freedom night. That is when you build your business. That is when you block out everything else and you focus on you and your future. That is when you decide, this is the day that I'm going to invite guests. So I love the 10 core commitments, but we always say attend the weekly briefing and we forget the fine print with guests. The only time we make money in this business is when someone who does not have the membership gets it. It's the only time. So that should be your number one priority, all right? So find out which briefing you're going to attend and commit to it. Today, you need to write down on your goal, I will attend the next 52 weekly meetings on Monday night at 7:30 with a guest. That should be one of your goals, all right? Also realize that every month we have something called a Super Saturday. So that means only one Saturday out of the month we're asking you to commit to coming to an event where you're going to learn from people that have done what it is that you're trying to do. Does that make sense? Does that sound like an event you should go to? So that should be part of your schedule of what you plan to do on a regular basis. So I already knew every Saturday, there was one Saturday out of the month that I was required as a store manager to work 3 Saturdays and one Sunday out of the month. So I already knew which Saturday I was working and which Saturday I was off. So I would make that arrangement with my assistant and say, hey, just know the 3rd Saturday of the month, you're gonna have to work because I got an event to go do. I'll work the Sunday. So I made that arrangement. For those of you that have a job, please don't go in every week and say, hey, can I get Monday night off at 7:30? And then go back again and say, hey, can I get Monday night at 7:30? And then 3 weeks later, hey, can I get Monday night at 7:30? Guess what your manager is thinking? Problem child. Here's the different approach. Mr. Mark, how you doing, sir? Hey, it's been a privilege working for you, but look, I found a course that works on personal development, and I would like to take that course, and I think I would be a better employee for you if I was to get that kind of knowledge. Is there any way that I could have every Monday at 7:30 off? Guess what your employer just wrote down in the notes? Future manager. Right? Because you only put in one request, but it was a request for every committed Monday that I'm going to go. Now, here's the difference, though. When he gives it to you, you got to go. Because he's going to be looking for the change. All right? So understand what your schedule is. Also, you need to have parameters set with the people that are important in your life. First of all, your family. Here's a mistake we make sometimes. We recruit a brand new person. We are excited about getting them started, but we don't tell them our, what do you call it, vocabulary or whatever it is. So we start throwing things at them like PBR and all of that other stuff, and they don't even understand what half of that stuff is. You explain it to them, but you don't have them explain that to their family. So now, Mr. Muhammad is brand new in the business. He's excited about this new LegalShield opportunity. His wife's at home, and then he gets on the call. I call him, and all she hears is, oh, yeah, I'll meet you Monday at 7:30. We're going to be at the hotel. You need me to do a three-way? Oh, we're going to do some private business receptions, too? Now, he runs out of the house. He doesn't come home till 10:30, 11:30 at night. He's doing that 3 weeks in a row, and because you didn't tell him to bring a guest, he ain't making no money. She's a little suspicious about this new opportunity. So is there some conversation you need to have with your family, right? Melissa, look, I think I found something that's really going to set our family up for the future. This organization that I'm joining, we have a meeting every Monday night at 7:30. They bring in professionals that share the opportunity. It allows me to bring guests to see the opportunity also. I just want you to know that's where I'm going to be on Monday, and I want your support on that because I think it will give us a financial advantage in the future. But not only that, if I do it right, I get to take you on free trips every year. So here's what happens on Monday at 6 o'clock. Melissa's like, hey, ain't you got a meeting to go to? You say Cabo's next? You better get up out of here. Did you call your guests? Right? You now have the support of your family because you had the conversation. You need to set the parameters with your team. Just like you're giving time to your family, giving time to your business, don't forget your family. Right? So you need to let your team know, hey, so for example, Sunday nights was when I had to do all my, was when we had our conference calls. So, but my team knew no one can call me before 6 o'clock on Sunday. Because the entire Sunday is my family day. Go to church, wherever the kids want to go eat, wherever they want to go hang out, that's their day. I don't do three-way phone calls, I do anything like that. That's my family time. And my team knew that. Here's why you have to do that. If you constantly just focus on your business alone, you'll lose your family in the process. So you have to figure out a way to balance that. And the only way to balance that is to make sure you communicate all of that with everyone. So set the parameters, all right? And of course, the job. I already told you about what to do. You make sure you make one request for every Monday off. Don't go in every week asking for a requested Monday off. You just make one request. Say, hey, I need to change my schedules. I can't work Monday at 7:30, right? Because I'm going to this personal development class, right? Don't tell them I'm going to a job that's going to get me up out of here. No. Right? So all I know is the grocery industry. So I've been in the grocery industry for over 27 plus years is what I did. There are two types of industries in the grocery industry. There's what we call a convenience store, and there's what we call a superstore, right? How many of you are familiar with a convenience store? Give me some examples. 7-Eleven, Wawa, Circle K. Do you know that if you take gas out of that equation, the best of them are doing $20,000 a month in profit? $20,000 a week in profit. Now, you all would think it would be way more than that, right? But here is why they're only doing that, because they only sell things that are convenient. You know, you can get a hot dog, you grab a soda, you grab a pack of gum. You got to sell a lot of that to make some money, right? How many of you are familiar with a superstore? Give me an example. Walmart, Publix, right? You can go into a superstore and you can get what? Anything. You can get your prescription filled, you can get a steak cut, you can get your cake designed the way you want it. It's a superstore. They have everything readily available for you. The average superstore is doing over $1 million a week. I managed the store that on a weekly basis did $500,000. During Christmas, we would do well over 1.4 million. Christmas Eve, we could easily do $1 million on one day. Why? Because a customer could come in and get what? Everything. They were a superstore of a retail. My question to you is, what does your business look like? Are you a convenience associate? Or are you a super associate? See, I'm trying to figure out why that wall's not knocked out. You told me Melissa Wilder was coming? Right? You told me Don Thompson was coming? You told me Michael Dorsey was coming? You told me Justin Peterson was coming? And because the weather's nice outside, it wasn't convenient for you to come? See, the convenient associate doesn't come to these events because it's not convenient. Or they don't go to the weekly meeting every week because it might be raining or it might be a little cloudy out that day. See, it's not convenient for you to build your business. I'm letting you know for the next 5 years, you got to be a super associate. You just got to do what you got to do to be successful. So first of all, I need you to learn every area of the business. So we have a great course coming out right now. It's called our Level 1 training. Every one of you needs to attend that course because it lets you know what your foundation. So in this example, network marketing is the foundation of the business, meaning that individual has decided that network marketing is what I want to focus on. That's the area that I'm going to learn 100% of. But that does not mean that I eliminate the whole wheel of opportunity. So mine started out as network marketing. That's what I was introduced to. My second year in the business, I gravitated to the group business because that's what I like to do, right? So that became my foundation. So, but I need you to understand that there are several wheels in this opportunity. There's small business, there's CDLP. Now I need to add ladies of justice. There's so many things that this business encompasses, and I'm saying to be a super associate, you need to learn every area of those businesses. So even though I'm not a lady, I am going to pay attention to the Lady of Justice program because I intend to recruit what? Just makes sense. That should be a part of your business plan. So don't negate any part of the business. It all comes together to bring you full success. So I know next month or next week, when is your level 1 training? You're doing Maryland next week. Okay. So I'm doing a level 1 training next week, Saturday at the Embassy Suites here. All right, so I strongly recommend you all come back next week, Saturday. That's going to be from 11 to 5. So the details are on your back office. I strongly recommend you register for that class. It's probably one of the best trainings I've seen for a brand new person coming into the business. So you definitely want to attend that class. I promise you I'll give you my best. So make sure you go ahead and register for that if that's your interest. But I strongly recommend you get trained. So here's why all of this is important. I'll give you an example. So my 4th year in the business, right around my 5th year in the business, I get this call from corporate. And they say, hey, Mr. Edwards, we just wanted to let you know you're our newest 6-figure ring earner. So I'm still working 50, 60 hours a week. I'm only doing the business 5 to 10 hours a week. But those 5 to 10 hours I'm committed. I've never, to this day, never gone a week without going to a weekly briefing. I've always attended to invite a guest, right? So they tell me, hey, you're the new 6-figure ring earner. So most people ask me, how'd you do that as a part-time associate doing all of that? I can't take credit for all of that. So just to show you the wheel, when I got introduced to this business, Ron Green recruited a guy named Keith Sylvester. He spoke to Keith on Thursday. Keith said, I want to think about it. He came to my office on Friday. That's the Friday I decided to go to the meeting on Monday. I go meeting on Monday, I sign up. Keith calls him on Tuesday and says, okay, I'm ready now. Since Keith wanted to think about it, he placed Keith onto me. Had Keith signed up on Thursday, I would have been placed onto Keith. Keith introduces it to Carlos Etta, my frat brother, who introduces it to his best friend Brian Mitchell in Cleveland, Ohio, who introduces it to his best friend, a guy named John Abrams. John Abrams is a social worker in Cleveland, Ohio, who decides to build a massive team. He's a lot better at network marketing than I am. The year I got my six-figure ring, I probably attribute about 40,000 of that to overrides from that organization. At one point, John Abrams, when he went platinum, we had 28 executive directors in that leg. But that same year, I also had a teacher on my team who's still on my team, one of my ring earners, a young lady by the name of Catrice Jackson. That was also the year she was in the top 10 in small business sales. That year, I also had a young lady on my team by the name of Brenda Kane. All she wanted to focus on was CDLP, commercial drivers. Guess what? Because I had taken the course, I was able to override whatever it is she does in the CDLP market. So that attributed to part of my income. That was also the year that I was really heavily focused on group, and I probably did personally, 800 or 900 memberships that year. So it was a wheel of opportunity that got me to six figures. It was the leverage of making sure that I was a part and trained in every area of the business. So when Catrice calls and asks me a question about small business, even though that's not my focus, but because I have the training and I've been to a class, I can answer those questions. When Brenda calls me about CDLP, it's not that I'm focused on CDLP, but because I've been to the training, and when she asks me a question or she needs me to do a three-way phone call for a business owner who owns a trucking company, I am equipped to do that. Why? Because I went to the what? To the training. You got to go to these trainings, people. And I don't just go once. If Melissa Wilder says she's training next week, if I'm not training, I'm going to her training. I don't know how many times I've sat at the feet of Melissa Wilder listening to her training, but I can attribute a lot of my success to sitting at her feet and getting her training. I don't know how many times I've heard Michael Dorsey speak, but I can tell you I've built my network marketing business off of the trainings that I've learned from Michael Dorsey. Michael Dorsey was the staple in Georgia when I first started the business. It was the knowledge that I gained from him that allowed me to build a successful team. Because network marketing was not my thing. I never understood the philosophy of network marketing. It was the learnings and the lessons that I got. Now that I'm working with younger people, I listen to Justin Peterson for the thought process of the younger generation, right? Because I intend to build a millennium team. I can't even say the word right. Is it millennium, millenniums? Yeah, them young folks, right? I'm going to work with some young folks, right? It's just the process. So I need you to understand, you got to do the business. And here's the funny part about this business to me. It's amazing to me how many people go in and work a 40-hour work week. And I always hear people that say, I'm full-time in LegalShield. And I say, great, how long you been in Performance Club? Well, I'm not quite there yet. So full-time is 40 hours a week. Would you agree? When you get a job, they tell you to punch in at 9 o'clock, and you need to stay there till when? Till 5. That's full-time. So if you're full-time in LegalShield, you should be working your LegalShield business full-time, like you work a job. If I put an ad in the paper saying, I'm coming to Orlando, I'm hiring, I'm going to pay $1,000 a week, how many people do you think would be in this room? Thousands. And I could say to them, here's what the job is. I have this product. I'm going to give you all some options. The only requirement is that every hour under hour, I need you to share this service or this product that I'm sharing with you with someone. I'm going to give you some tools. In the back room there, we're going to have a supervisor. You can call him an upline. So if you feel uncomfortable, your upline will come out and talk to the person for you. We're also going to give you this little tool to where you can send a video that explains the information, or you can sit down with the individual and have them watch the video, either one. At the end of the video, or at the end of your supervisor sitting down with them, I want you to ask them 2 questions. What did you like best? And where would you like your will information sent? After every interaction, if they sign up, I need you to bring the application to me at the end of the day. If they don't sign up, don't worry about it. And I'm going to pay you a flat $1,000 for doing that 8 hours a day. That means you would speak to how many people a day? How many at the end of the week? How many do you think would actually sign up for the service if you did that? Let's say 10 signed up. You would be turning 10 applications into me a week, right? I would pay you $1,000. At the executive director level, I'm getting paid close to $300 per app. So I'm making $3,000, I'm paying you $1,000, but I just hired 50 people to do that. And here's the sad part. I could come to you at the end of the week and say, hey, you should go independent. And you say something like this to me. No. You guys got benefits. I'm good. Guaranteed paycheck. Do you realize that if you made it to senior manager, we pay $140. Is it $140? $160. So let's just say manager, $140 every time you sign up one person. People always say, man, how'd you get the $100,000 ring? How'd you get the $50,000 ring? Well, think about it. There are 365 days in the year. If you did $140 one day a day, one app a day, and you did that for 365 days, you'd make $50,000. It's not rocket science, people. So if you want to make 6 figures, figure out a way to do 2. Here's the good news. It gets easier because as you do more, you get promoted. As you get promoted, your income goes what? So it's getting simpler. See, most people are wondering, why don't we pay you the big money on the initial onset? Because you're not properly prepared to do it the correct way. But as you get better, we pay you more. You can now move faster if you choose to. The mistake is most people get to the manager level and decide now is not time for me to manage. Where what you need to be doing is going right back into what? Activity. All right, so my time's running up, so I'm going to wrap up. Tomorrow I'm going to go through persistency in detail. So tomorrow that training on persistency, if you all understood residual income, you would never leave this business. And I'll go through that tomorrow as to why I started to investigate residual income. Because one of my so-called mentors left the business because he told me there was no residual income. And so I decided to do the research and found out the reason he had no residual income is because he had no good persistency. If you're selling a membership and it drops off after you sell it, there is no residual income. You need to go get a job. But if you decide to do this business the right way, and your customer sees the value in the membership and they keep it long-term, we pay you long-term residual income. And it gets gooder and gooder. So I'm going to go through that in detail tomorrow, all right? So due to my time, 3 things I want you to understand, and I'm going to wrap up. 3 things you got to do. Listen. Listen to yourself. You have to start putting positive messages into your head every day. Do not wake up and turn on the news. If you do that, you will purposely kill yourself. Because it's that bad out there. I happened to turn the TV on today, and I don't know how many people got shot. So far. So if that's what you're listening to every morning, you're going to automatically have a negative thought of what your outcome is. So every morning I wake up, I listen to E.T. I don't know if you ever heard of E.T. You'll see him in my training tomorrow. So I listen to different things. Positive vibes come into my head every morning. All right? You also have to be very monitor what you allow to come into your environment. And you have to control the things that you do, meaning you get to choose. I don't know what your religion preference is, but whatever it is or whoever it is you believe in, I'm a firm believer that they have your best interest at heart. Would you all agree? So if you believe in God and you wake up every morning and you say, oh, I'm broke. Here's the funny part about the relationship. He's like, broke? Cool, we doing broke today? I got you. You go to your mailbox, all of a sudden you got a bill. You go to the store, they say it's $5 and you only got $4.99 because you broke. That's what you told him. He's like, bro, cool, we can do broke. The very next morning, you decide to listen to positive information. And you wake up and you say, you know what, I'm rich. He's going to look up like, what? You changed your mind today? We doing rich today? Man, I'm so glad you made that decision. You open up your back office and you got an extra car bonus money. I realized y'all did some new things. That new car bonus money is good. That was that positive thinking. So I don't know if you knew the new system. If you have people on your team that are doing a certain amount of performance club or whatever, there's some additional cash. I like that. You might be all right. Right? So things will happen positively for you based on what you think. Just understand what you say and what you do determines what your outcome will be. Thank you all so much. I look forward to doing some more training tomorrow.